Welcome, everybody. This is the Aging and Spirituality podcast, and I am Kathy Lee Taylor.
And I'm Chris Jensen.
And we're both happy that you are here today. We have such an interesting topic today. I called it How to Observe the Observer. If you've ever studied meditation or tried it in any way, you've come up against the subject of what is the observer. And it really is part of the process in learning to meditate and learning to make the ego go away and just dissolve. So meditation, as most people know, the aim of it is to really get to know who your inner self truly is. That is the goal of meditation. So if you're ready to experience your inner self and even take what you know farther, this talk is really going to help you understanding what the observer is. So listen, how to be an observer in your own life is going to be one of the things that we talk about, and how that helps you dissolve the ego's influence on your life. So those are the things that you will get out of listening us today. And as a result of listening and understanding how to do that, the observer is going to take you closer to knowing your soul. And that really means knowing truly who you are, getting clarity on what it is that you're doing here, the purpose of your life, all of those big questions that feel so troublesome because you get stuck there, because you're looking for big answers and the skies to open and, lightning bolts to come down. So you feel like you got the right answer when it's really not that complicated. So those are the things we're going to be talking about today. So one of the first things, though, that I wanted to acknowledge about this particular subject is that when people first approach the idea of meditation, they oftentimes are very afraid of it. And I know it's unusual, but Chris and I both know she's a way longer term meditation teacher than me. I also do an online class with meditation, but that possibility of getting to know the inner self when you first begin, the ego kind of raises its shackles. It gets the ego's attention because the ego wants to be in control. And when you start letting go of that and moving towards the inner self, it feels a little threatened. So at first meditation can feel a little scary that way. So just keep that in mind as we're going through the practices and you learn to meditate. Just know that that is really, really normal. So the goal is, however, for the ego not to be in power. We want the energy, the focus, the life force to be coming from your inner self or your spirit. So today, I wanted to do this interesting thing in lieu of telling you a personal story, which I really love to do. I decided I was going to read this poem because it is so beautiful. It's called Fear, and it's by Khalil Gibran, and it's all about, well, I'll let you see. It's about this process of how the ego dissolves and you move into spirit and how beautiful that is. So listen to the words, but just feel what he's saying to us, because by his words, you can tell he absolutely knows what he's talking about with this process. It really is so beautiful. So here we go. Fear by Khalil Gibran. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. That is such a beautiful poem and so descriptive of what we're talking about here in understanding how the ego works and how you learn to dissolve that whole perception of who you are. Yogis like to say that we are a small wave that is a part of a very big ocean, which is an interesting way to think about it, right? Just like they were saying into the in the poem, before you enter the sea, a river trembles in fear, but you become part of the actual river, or you become part of the big ocean. So this is what the process, and one of the steps when you first learn to meditate is becoming intimate with the observer, being able to observe yourself and your own thoughts. There's lots of ways that we could get you to experience this. So are you ready to have some kind of a direct experience with the observer? Because we have a master here who's going to teach us how to do that. I listed a couple of ways here, and Chris is going to pick what's really comfortable for her. But just for listeners who are actually not seeing us on tape right now, I forget sometimes that we have listeners and we have watchers. So
Yeah.
I have to keep both in mind. But for the people that are just listening, there's meditation practices that'll bring you in touch with the observer. Some of them are like watching the breath, observing its entrance and exit, staring at a candle, letting the thoughts go into the flame, repeating a mantra, concentrating on each word. That word can be just Om, which is a very sacred word, the most sacred word, or doing a mind drift practice and asking who is watching my thoughts. So those are some ideas for those listening. But for now, Chris, who is an amazing teacher, is going to pick one exercise on doing the observer. I'm going to do it with her, and I'm hoping you guys are listening and watching are going to do it too.
I want to say something about what she was talking about the fear, because, we all fear the unknown. And until we have an experience, we don't know what's going to happen. And there's even a term in yoga called the kanch. When people are about to go into a very deep experience with yourself, and they go like that.
Yeah.
And they stop themselves. They stop themselves from going farther. So, and that's okay. If that happens, it's normal. What you do is you just relax. You recognize what it is and say, hey, I'm about to go into a place of deep peace and love and inner power and joy.
Yeah.
So what I think is a great way to try to get in touch with the observer is one of the things where she said is watching the thoughts and feelings, starting with witness consciousness. So what we do is first we just look around and we witness, just not like a critique or a judge, but we just witness everything, looking at the doorknobs, the lights, whatever. And then we close our eyes, and I'll tell you when it's time to close our eyes. We'll close our eyes and we'll witness the thoughts and feelings the same way. We're just going to watch them. And then after a while, the idea is, when you start to get comfortable with this, is to ask, who's watching? Who's watching? And what that does, it takes you beyond, like when you're observing, you're actually in a little bit outside of the ego and mind. But when you say who's watching, then you come to a higher place, to something we call the Buddhi, or actually to the inner self. So that's what we're going to do. And, the first time you do it, you may experience peace or you may not. But if you practice this a little bit, it'll work for you.
Ooh, I'm excited.
It'll work. So
love doing this.
Yeah. So let's get started. First, we're going to spend a couple minutes just looking around, just observing the room you're in, and no critiques, no judgments, no comments. We're watching it as if we're watching a parade, or we're watching kids in a playground from a distance. No judgment, no critiques, no comments. We're just witnessing. Now we're going to close our eyes. Do the same thing, just watching our thoughts and feelings. This is going to be more challenging because there's more emotion tied up in it, but just try to observe. You're just a witness. You have nothing else to do now but watch your thoughts and feelings. Close your eyes so it's easier to do it. And now, as you get calm with witnessing your thoughts and feelings, just ask, who's watching? And just relax, be open to it. Okay, can you bring your attention back now? So that's the idea. Try to stay in that calm place. The very least that will happen is you're going to get really calm from doing this.
Yes. Can I comment on that? What happened for me? That was so
Yes,
fun.
please. Yeah.
I'm rubbing my hands together and kind of grounding myself, because what happened was when you first were talking, I wanted to name everything, and I was like, no, okay, no naming, no naming. Like that's not a window, that's not a mirror, that like don't do that. So I had to calm the mind down then. And then what happened was my heart kind of wanted to come in to like take over, so that the mind wasn't like, because my part of me was going, oh, I don't want you to be busy, mind, like shut up. I'm talking to it, and then the heart just was like, okay, I got this, and kind of came in and calmed the whole thing down like that. And then I felt like when you asked the question, who is it? I felt like the energy just came from the back of my being and through my heart, and just in like a full force, just like, this is who I am. Oh God, it makes me emotional just saying it. This is who I am. Just this force of, divine love coming through the
Pure
heart.
love.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's very beautiful. And
Yeah.
it makes you feel so grounded and centered. I felt myself to like sitting up straight so that I could just like encapsulate the whole, mood and energy of what that was, the answer to that question. So beautiful. Yes, thank you so much.
It's a great practice to do. And when you first do it, we just did a couple minutes in each section, but you can work up to a longer period of time. You could do 5 minutes looking around, 5 minutes watching the thoughts and feelings, and then asking, who's watching. Because as you progress in yoga, you move forward quickly. But the very least that will happen is that you're going to get an experience peace. And then you'll go beyond, which is not a small thing. But then you'll go on, because the inner self, I mean, there's bliss and there's power and there's love and joy and so much,
go deeper in your meditation, right? I mean, you can go right into meditation from there and go much deeper from there.
Right.
So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I get, we don't have to tell you, if you did that with us, that experience with us, you already know what the benefits are of, being in touch and understanding what the observer is. So thank you for Chris. That's really beautiful. The observer really brings you in touch with a higher version of who you are. It's a higher version of your consciousness, and it will change you. It will transform your life. It is so worth the exercise. It's so worth paying attention to it and doing the work on a daily basis. So it's also something that, you need to understand. It doesn't happen and then stop. It continues to grow. It continues to grow your entire life. I mean, we both did that exercise 40 years ago. and
we're still doing it. Yeah.
And we're still doing it and getting different experiences. Yeah. Bigger, better, more,
Right. There's always more in yoga.
There is
always more. I mean, if you think you've experienced it, you have experienced something great, there's always more.
You probably have. You could have very much experienced something great, but there's always something greater. That's why, my devotion for yoga has just grown and grown and grown over the years, as I know Chris feels exactly the same way, or we wouldn't be sitting here doing this
Right.
podcast,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it does help you grow all the time, and you can go as far as you can handle, and continue to strive to do and be, and all of those things. So yes, just keep going, keep going. So you're really becoming of the fact that you are self-aware. So what it opens you up to in getting to know the observer is that you will have effortless joy, emotions of happiness and peace and bliss. And you'll be able to do the things that you want in life, like reaching your goals, whatever those are. You're going to be much more successful in realizing your dreams and all of the goals that you set for yourself. It's kind of like in tennis, they're always talking about how to hit an effortless shot. And when you watch the pros, they make it look effortless because they've hit those balls 100,000 times, the same dang ball, the same way. And after a while, it looks like perfection, and it looks like you're not putting a lot into it. But if you were up close watching them swing that thing, you would know how much power and skill has gone into learning that particular craft. So it's kind of the same way with yoga. It becomes more effortless over time and has much more transformative powers in your life. So yeah, again, just never stop. So, okay, is there anything else I need to say here? Getting skilled at letting go. That's one of the first things, the letting go process. People sometimes struggle with that. And that's again, because of the fear. They're trying to walk into something that's unknown. Just keep practicing until it becomes really natural for you to let go and realize there's nothing to fear. You'll get there. You will definitely get there. So I think that's it. That is exactly what I wanted to give to people today. So thank you so much for walking us through that, Chris. Really beautiful and really valuable. Save this one, folks. Do it. Come back and listen to the thing that we walked you through, the experiment we walked you through, and do it on a daily basis. If you need a guide, that was a perfect example of it. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and do it and let us know how you're doing with it. Let us know if you have any questions. So
yes, we would love to hear from you.
Okay.
Hey, lovelies. Take care.
Bye.
See you next week.
See you soon.